This episode of Remodel Revolution is brought to us by Total Air and Heat, North Dallas's premier heating and air conditioning company. Give them a call, 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today. Well, our theme the last few weeks, I've been interviewing builders from around the country, and we've been talking about the cost of building. And I've come to the conclusion that the cost of building isn't going to change a whole lot. I know that we're all optimistic that material prices will go down. I can tell you from my experience, I've only been doing this about 40 years. They don't go down as much as you think they're going to go down. Now, you have seasonal adjustments. Every year we have a seasonal adjustment. So the summertime cost of material will come down from the winter or vice versa. I can't remember anymore what it is. But when you have this sort of wholesale rise with everything, concrete, sheetrock, insulation, all of it's going up. Of course, as we all know, the framing materials and all the wood materials are going up. I think that we're seeing sort of a new baseline. Now, we talked about this last week with our good friend Matt Mitchell, and I think he brought it up, and I totally agree with him that we're kind of resetting the baseline, which is kind of scary, because if the baseline goes up and the consumer's salary doesn't go up with it, then you're going to have a problem. I've asked my good friend Alan Hoffmann, Hoffmann Homes of Dallas, who builds a different kind of house, to come on and talk to us today about my thoughts. If you're going to have to spend the money anyway, spend it in the right way, so that your cost going down the road, your cost in the future, is actually going to kind of save you from these elevated costs that you're paying now. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good to be here. I'm excited to discuss what we're up to. It's very, I have never seen, or I can say when I started building the type of product we build insulated concrete homes, and we were always never selling on price. We were analyzing price. We were looking at cost, and we were looking at value. So we were looking at what's the real cost of ownership. So if there's a difference between the cost between a typical build, and we go in the direction of, well, let's do a spreadsheet, let's figure out what is our ownership cost going to be, because we're going to have reduced utilities, we're going to have lower maintenance costs because it's a more stable structure. What's the
payoff?
Yeah.
Where does it?
What's the delta between what's the difference? And today. If you're doing apples to apples,
crazy
2x6 full foam encapsulated custom build, a high-end build, we're the same or less, which I thought we would never see.
Because we used to talk about yours were 10-15% higher.
We're really about 6 to 10.
6 to 10.
6 to 10.
Okay.
And that's nominal. And then when you look at a spreadsheet and cost of ownership and take into account, well, it's a better building, I'm safer in it, all that stuff.
Let's explain to our audience what it is. Tell us about your house. What's an ICF house?
ICF is an insulated concrete form home, meaning we use these large 4-foot by 60-inch Lego blocks that are hollow in the middle, and we stack them up like Lego blocks, and then we put steel in the middle, and we pour concrete down the middle of the wall. And so you end up with a 6-inch solid concrete wall that's encapsulated with 2.5, actually our forms are 2 5/8 thickness foam on the outside, 2 5/8 thickness on the inside. And then built into the forms are studs where you can attach your finishes. So what I've been telling my buyers, and this is really the main thing that kind of clicks for them, I've stopped building homes completely. I'm only building giant Yeti coolers disguised as houses.
That's right. Well, it is, and you and I have talked about this for years, that it's a big old Yeti cooler, and let's say, what was it? What's a typical 2,000, 2,500 foot house? Is there a typical size for you?
I have a community we're doing of 8 homes, and they vary from 2,400 feet to 3,100 feet. And our 3,150 is the square footage, and we're selling those for right around, the base price is $859. And our land cost is around 200. So that's the
$1 million. So,
it's
but the operating cost of that house is where my whole focus is, because it doesn't matter what you build it out of or where you build it now. It doesn't matter. It's expensive as hell. There's just no getting around it.
no, I mean, I've got
So the long term, you have to start looking at the long term cost, the ownership cost, as you say,
yeah.
and what does it cost? Let's take our 3,100 foot house that's ICF. What is it a monthly energy cost on that thing going to be in the heat of the summer?
Well, if we add a $20,000 solar array, it's going to be zero.
Wow! And if you're spending that kind of money on that, that's not a huge.
No, it takes a lot less BTUs to heat and cool this house, British thermal units, and as a result, we don't have to have the solar array necessary that you would for a typical 3,100 square foot. You're probably looking at a $35,000 solar array. So to get these homes to net zero, which is a term we've heard a lot lately, it's roughly going to be about $20,000 to $22,000.
Now, how has this changed for you in, say, the last how long have you been building these ICF houses?
26 years.
So in 20 years ago, 25 years ago, did you have obviously you've learned, you're the guy to go to in Dallas if you want this house built. What sort of advances has technology afforded you and your customers? I mean, in 25 years, it's got to be.
It's huge.
Yeah.
And we've learned a lot about
Low
this
voltage, LED, solar, power, solar storage.
96% efficient furnaces,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
sealed combustion furnaces, or VRF mini splits. I've done homes with mini splits. Actually, one of the problems that we had when we were first building, we couldn't get this unit size small enough
Right.
because they didn't make them. And they wouldn't, we couldn't get multiple zones, which we really needed. And we needed to be able to dial that compressor down to 20% of what it was putting out. And you couldn't do it. You can now. You can dial it down. We're also managing the humidity because not only is this a giant Yeti cooler, it's got a Tupperware lid.
Yeah. Right.
So what happens if you put a lot of moisture in a Tupperware container? Well, it stays. You have to deal with that. If someone takes a shower, we're introducing a lot of humidity into the house. So this house doesn't have the air exchanges of a typical frame home. We're around 1 air exchange an hour.
And so you're in the long term. So right now, a lumber package. I saw a guy yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He put a picture up on Facebook, and it said a year ago this was $26,000. And then what was it?
It's
now?
$2,600 for this here, and then it was like half the pile size.
Right, and then. But now that same size is
It's a third.
13,000 or some ridiculous number. I was just like I can't even read that. That's so crazy.
Well, I have a friend that builds in the Lakewood area. He's been doing this a 5,000 foot plan. He's built a few times, and he built it last January. And when he ordered his lumber package last January, the package was $55,000 for the whole house. And it had some outdoor spaces, a garage. It's a 5,000 foot building, maybe 4,200 air conditioned. He's building the same house. 3 weeks ago, his quote was $165,000 for the lumber package.
Over 100,000 higher.
Yeah, that's 3 times, 300% increase. So when you see those kind of increases, I equate what's going on right now. I don't know if lumber is going to go back down from $1,700 a board foot down to. It'll never get back to $300.
It'll never be what it was.
Never be what it was.
No.
It'll probably. I don't know where it's going to end. I mean, at the end of the day, if it ends up at $700-800, we're all doing better. They're doing great. they're getting double what they were doing a year ago. But I think that this is a moment we saw when copper went insane.
Yeah.
Remember when copper went crazy and everybody moved to PEX?
Yeah.
I was trying to get guys to go to PEX before copper, and I couldn't get my plumber.
And then I loved it because I went, well, before PEX, there was something else. And I made a lot of money fixing those condos you guys did.
I didn't do those. No,
Somebody, you know what I'm talking about.
but they didn't have the right connections.
No, they didn't have the right connections. They kept blowing out, and we kept rebuilding them. Thank you. After the big class action lawsuit, that's another story.
Yeah. So those changes, you see market changes. So, copper, they lost an entire market, really.
Yeah.
The housing industry.
We went to aluminum wiring. Went to
aluminum wiring's another. Yeah.
Yeah, that was another thing that happened with all of that stuff, and so we've come a long way. We've come a long way, but copper just had another big increase.
Yeah.
And what is your concrete doing?
It's gone up a little bit, not tremendously. Now I will say I was taken aback because I was getting ready to order block for a couple of houses, my ICF block, and because manufacturers are doing very well right now, and we have some contract manufacturers that manufacture for the ICF company that I buy from, and we have a plant in Keller, which is just north of Fort Worth, and as a result, that plant is now doing a bunch of medical molding, and it's offline.
Wow.
And I could order and get my block in a week. I call up I put my order in. They're telling me 6 to 8 weeks.
So now it's an availability challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Like
one-
kind of like everything, though. Really.
Yeah, but it's never been that.
Yeah.
For IC, okay, they've had huge demand increase because people are doing the math. Well, if I can buy a Mercedes for the price of a Kia, why not?
Right. I got you. So, I really wanted to talk about with everybody these decisions that you're having to make when you're deciding whether to build a house and who to hire. I'm not trying to advocate for anybody in particular, but these are just some options that I wanted to share with our audience on different ideas and kind of get your input as a builder as to what you see coming down, because you're always forecasting. Now, for just so you guys understand how brilliant this man is, he was the president of the Dallas Builders Association. We're not sure if that was a smart decision or no. Actually, we do. We were glad to have him because he is such a brilliant businessman. We're glad to have him here. But what do you think? Do you have a feel for? I keep hearing fourth quarter might get better. Who knows, right?
Nobody's got a crystal ball,
Right.
and it's really going to be market forces that drive it. And as long as the demand stays where it's at, and people are buying these what we, from our perspective, inflated prices.
Right.
Well, there's no incentive for them.
Do you feel like there's a new baseline being set?
I think so.
A higher kind of baseline?
I think there's a higher baseline being set.
Yeah. And so what has to happen is the whole thing has to get lifted up, which is really pretty incredible because we've been through this before and we were all scared to death, but it just resets everything.
We're very fortunate in our market here. We've got still a great influx of people moving into the area. And as a result, I think we're going to remain very strong for a couple of years. It's just, but that's my hunch. It could end to
Well, I mean, our things are so volatile globally.
Yes, yeah.
We don't know. I mean, nobody knows. Tomorrow something could happen and it all goes away. You just don't know.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, though. We have corporations moving here from all over the world, really, but particularly all over the country, our country. And I saw a thing in the Dallas Business Journal yesterday where they're showing different parts of town. Here's some available land here. It's perfect for corporate relo. Blah blah blah. And they went through the whole. It was very interesting how that discussion has come around. Of course, you and I remember when there was nothing anywhere. It was all available.
Yes.
All you had to do was run the cattle off of it. It was all
Move
available.
that corn.
That's right.
Move that cotton.
It's
get
been
it out.
really interesting watching this area grow and become a big boy. It used to be a wannabe big boy, and now it is a big boy. It's been quite interesting. So in an ICF house, give me an idea. So you're saying you could effectively have a zero energy bill at the end of the month. Is that typical? I mean,
It's yeah.
I mean, the worst case is you have a under $50.
Well, the way ticks. Well, I just give you an idea. I did a house in Lakewood, and it had a pool. We actually tore down a house that had about a 3-year-old pool. We kept the pool, built the house around the pool. He put some new equipment on it, monitored it, and so he made the pump system a little bit more efficient. It was a VRF. It was we had 2 condensing units, 8 zones.
What's a VRF?
VRF is a mini split system. It's basically a very high-tech heat pump, but it's not a heat pump. It's
So if you watch 2 shows ago where we interviewed Fujitsu, that's what the heat pump is. Go look at that show. You'll figure it out.
those are very efficient, and you can run 4 zones off of one of the condensing units. So we had 8 zones. It was upstairs, downstairs. Had 4 zones up, 4 zones down.
Which is almost what you have to do with this type of house because it's so efficient.
Yeah, and you want to dial in where and there's
Where you need it.
where you need it, and it's really something. If someone's in a bedroom and they don't quite like it as cold as the other occupants like it, they can customize it.
I had I've done this for 2 or 3 clients over the years that I had people that were in wheelchairs. And people that are in wheelchairs have a problem with their circulation. And so they get real cold.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go in and put a zone in a master suite just for them because they might want to keep it 80 degrees all the time and need to, and particularly in a bathroom. And so the system you're talking about addresses that beautifully.
And you can dial them down. You can get really small, down to a ton unit, less than a ton. And so at the end of the day, and this is anecdotal. I haven't looked at his bills, but I asked him, so what's your average bill? It's $75. 4,100 square
For a
feet
lot of people, that's a water bill.
with the pool.
Yeah.
With the pool.
Wow. And it's probably mostly
the pool.
Mostly the pool. That is truly amazing. Other types of building, we're gonna interview a company that does steel, and we're kind of going through. I'm going through a process of trying to find alternate building methods. I'm not trying to talk you into building differently. I just want you to know what's out. I just think it's interesting, see what all's out there.
Well, give you an idea of the bump that we had on our lumber, because we do use lumber, and we're an alternative system. We contracted a project in August of last year because of Dallas permitting. We didn't really get started for quite a while.
Yeah.
So we really effectively got the slab in January because it took forever to get a permit. And we were going through engineering. So at the end of the day, because of our contract, we do have a commodities escalation clause in it that says if we go above 25% in the period, the month prior to your contract, analyze the market if it's over 25%. And this was January of this year that we were buying our lumber package. And it was 27%. So it was our first sale in the community. I didn't want to necessarily eat what we were going to eat, but our bump was only $12,500. If it were a frame structure, I would have been giving them a bill for about $35.
Yeah, you would have to. And that's hard to do for a builder because you don't want to do that. You don't want to create the ripples. You don't. You will eat it if it's eatable.
Yeah.
edible.
But that's not something that I really
No.
could eat.
No.
We're operating. We're tighter margins that people that like to.
Hey,
Right, you
it
know.
used to be that a 20% margin was a 20% margin, but it's not anymore. A 20% margin, well, I don't even know if there's such a thing anymore, but a whatever your margin is supposed to be is consumed rapidly with overhead. And so you can't line item all that overhead. So it's quite a challenge to keep that balance. Luckily, we don't have restaurant margins.
Yeah. For the public.
Yeah, that's right. I really appreciate you coming on the show today. It's been very interesting, And I are you still getting lots of your volume staying up?
Well, we're really focused on getting our development done, and we're not taking on as many customs as we wanted to, as we've done in the past. We're really focused on really doing more development, semi-custom. These homes that were in our communities are already designed and spec'd, and we've curated the selections and things. So it's
Well, that makes it a whole lot easier for you, though. I mean, and a lot more efficient. Efficient means a better profit margin for you, but an easier,
predictable.
Right? It's as predictable as things can be.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Alan Hoffman with Hoffman Homes. Next week, we're going to have an exciting show. We're going to be hopefully talking to Preservation Dallas. We're going to talk about old buildings next week. This is Alex Guthrie signing. Hey, listen, we're going to be on LinkedIn. I need you to go to the Remodel Revolution on LinkedIn and follow and subscribe so that I can get that audience built up. There's already Alex Guthrie on LinkedIn, but I need you to get to Remodel Revolution. We just got that page up a few days ago, and we need to get that audience built up so we can start doing these live broadcasts on LinkedIn. We love LinkedIn. So help us out there. We really do appreciate it. Check out all of our social media. We're everywhere: Facebook, YouTube, Pinterest, wherever, fishing pages. We're everywhere.
That's what I was doing last month. In my slab.
That's right.
Stocked the beans.
Until next week, this is Alex Guthrie signing off. I hope you have a good one. Hey, don't forget to follow us on all your social media, like us on Facebook, subscribe and share on YouTube, and check us out on all your social media platforms. Don't forget to watch Remodel Revolution on your smart TV, on Texas Weather Tracker TV, on Roku, Android, Apple, and Amazon TV, Sundays at 1 and 3 p.m. Central Standard Time.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional.